Excuse me, boss. What team do you support? What, Chelsea?
Yeah.
Fuck Chelsea. Chelsea shit.
Yeah.
Fuck Chelsea. What?
Fuck you.
Fuck Chelsea.
Fuck you.
Fuck
twat.
Chelsea, pussy or what? Say something.
Go on,
Fuck
listen,
Chelsea.
Fuck you
Fuck
twat.
Chelsea.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on, Ian, as the big man just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. Now, as we know, Arsenal travel away to Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea. Mathematically, it might not be a must-win, but let's cut the BS. In terms of the form, the sentiment, the rhetoric around the football club, in the same way winning is infectious, losing can be infectious. And, I swear they say in life, things come in threes, and we've, lost 3 games. And on the surface of it, I do think there's something to salvage from this season, but let's not beat around the bush. Arsenal are steadily in free flow. We need to stop this rut. We need to improve creativity wise. Mikel Arteta needs to probably take the shackles off in the final third. We need to start winning games. And it does feel like something I've said for a number of years. As much as you can talk about external factors, referees, other teams improving this, that, and the other, isolated to what our football club can control, we seem to make things harder for ourselves. And apparently, you would have seen in the last 24 hours, Thomas Rosický, Per Mertesacker, the West Ham guy, everybody's names being thrown into the ring where the sporting director position is. I know some people feel, and probably so, if we lose to Chelsea, that is the league gone. Champions League feels like an impossible dream. So you do have to ask the question, what's going on with Mikel Arteta? Does the club pull the plug after the Chelsea game? I don't think so, because we're not the club that can do that. Mathematically, they'll leverage that. We're still in the champs. Mathematically, we're still in the Prem shouts. We're still in the cups. They did just give him a new deal, and Edu's left. I don't think our club or those above are going to, sack a manager where you've got no director in football in play, where, whatever we have to say about our football club, there was an element of stability, people. So yeah, if you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you're doing such. Don't forget to comment and all that good stuff. Let me share my screen and let's get into all the latest Arsenal news, views, talking points, rumors, and all of that kind of jazz, people. So if we start here, people, allegedly West Ham fear their technical director Tim Stilden could be in the running to replace Edu at Arsenal. Arsenal will take their time before deciding how to replace Edu, and the club are adamant it will not affect the way they operate, as they already have a strong executive team in place. So do we go for kind of up and comer in the same ilk as Edu? Do you go for an established one? Is there going to be a change? Because I do feel, whatever I have to say, good or bad about Mikel Arteta, for me, the conversation is about, can you get over the line? These small improvements, small faith in attacking players. Like, I believe personally, he doesn't trust Ethan defensively. He doesn't trust Ethan in terms of what he wants to do. Or if he doesn't, if that's not a factor, he is a defensive first manager, which isn't a bad thing, but he's gone the other way. I do think Mikel Arteta, to a degree, is a technical and tactical genius. I do think he's a good coach, and I praise you for the rebuild. But as I said, now, one love for the rebuild. It's about getting over the line. The last 2 years, there's been an inability to do such. You never know what we'll be talking about in May, but it seems like the Prem is racing away from us. If Mikel Arteta is to stay, which I don't know if that's the right or wrong thing to do, or how you lot feel, personally, I think he needs his own David Dean. You look at Arsene Wenger, who was a genius and innovator, a hallmark of Premier League football, world football in total, everything he's done. But these men can go a bit left. And I feel when you had David Dean, he pulled Wenger back in when he was going crazy. It's the small minor improvements. And again, it's not all on Arteta or previously on Edu, but you look in the summer transfer market. I'm not saying the additions were horrible, but did they take us to the next level? Can we sit there and say we did everything we needed to do? Did you get another versatile winger? Someone probably that takes Martinelli's spot and gets numbers like Saka? Did you get a striker in relation to Kai Havertz? Did you get another creative midfielder? Did we improve the depth of our team? Did we? Because we ran around on deadline day trying to find Neto and Sterling. Fair enough. So it is what it is in that regards. But Apparently, we'll take our time before we'll bide our time and take our time before making a move, which naturally makes sense because why are you going to do anything else? Arsenal have launched their recruitment process to find a new sporting director to replace Edu. The club particularly appreciate the profiles of Per Mertesacker and Thomas Rosický and have already initiated discussions with the latter. With Rosický, I mean, again, I do think Rosicky's held the sporting director role. We need to remove Rosický, the player at Arsenal, and look at him as a professional, because it doesn't matter what you did at Arsenal or what we think of you. You're not playing for Arsenal. Can you do what we need you to do in that sporting director role? So which, if obviously he can, fair enough. Mertesacker, obviously, he's done what he's doing. He's done what he's doing in the academy. Naturally, it could be a source of progression. Apparently, Rosický ain't doing too good at Sparta Prague. I should really do my research. I don't really know what he's doing at Sparta Prague. I don't know if he's been finding the best young players, been getting things over the line and all of that, Chads. But if you're saying that, then that's naturally something that is a bit of a concern, really. It would be a nice touch, naturally, Rosický being a former Arsenal man in that position, but I don't care about that. I care about, is he the right man? Now, I can't say Rosický doesn't have experience because he's having that role, nor can I sit here and say Luis Campos and this guy and that guy. But for me, I want someone that is a bit opposite to Edu. Now, again, Edu, I don't know what, I do think Edu at times showed incompetence or not quite what we did, but I praise you for your own part of the rebuild. You did want Mikel Arteta, which tied into the rebuild. Obviously, I think we did well with contracts. I think you did a lot well. You got in the players, but I think where you look at Edu, I'm not criticizing it. How hard was it to get Kai Havertz? The man was told by Chelsea, keep it moving, 65 million, only a 5 million loss. I believe Chelsea bought him for 70, right? And Chelsea will probably say, you know what, that 5 million, that's the difference. Kai scored for us in the Champions League, keep it moving. Jorginho, Trossard had, feet out the doors at their clubs already. Declan Rice, 100 million. It is what it is in that regards. And all the other signings, he's made it happen. Where I look at Edu, I don't feel you pulled any rabbits out the hat with any unknown kind of signings. I don't feel he was ever surprised by anything. Sometimes I don't feel the money was spent well. Maybe you could have applied a bit more pressure on Mikel Arteta with certain ways we've spent money, whether it's worked out or not. Like, I'm not saying Kai's been a bad player, but could that 65 million been spent on a striker that could do what Kai Havertz demands, but also getting goals? Where I have sympathy for Edu is, I personally think your voice is crowded out. I think, you can have your concerns. Arteta can have his concerns. But if Arteta's voice holds more weight and you just have to do the bidding, if I'm honest with you. That's why I said earlier, you need to go and grab your David Dean, man. I know nothing, though. They said Swev Mislintat was going to take us to the promised land, and he's had like 4 jobs in 5 years. Exactly, yeah. And even me, I was gassed about Mislintat. I think I did a video on Mislintat before he joined Arsenal. But I think one thing we forget, is it's not just about it's not just about being competent. When you're a sporting director or your things off the field, you have to know how to play the game. You have to be a good people's person, in which I'm not saying Edu's not, because when you read the stuff about Edu, whether I rate him, you rate him or not, folks, it seems like he's known as a strong negotiator, someone that's got good contacts elsewhere. PSG tried to get him, so do you get it? So, and again, really, whatever we say about Edu, if you've now left and you're going to be like a CEO of a multi-club structure, that is a bigger role with more responsibility than you you did have at Arsenal. So I'm not sure. I just hope we get it right. I don't think Monza has enough experience in that role to go to the next level. We need a level raiser in our major departments. What I would like is someone with strong, and obviously Eddie's worked with Brazil. He's obviously got his own contacts, but I would like someone with strong contracts with connections with agents. I would like someone that is not afraid, and I'm not saying Eddie was, but not afraid to say, yo, Mikel. And to be honest with you, the Cronkies, when they bring that man in, have to give him the luxury to say, Mikel, we're not doing that. We're doing other things, if I'm honest with you, because I guess indirectly where Arsenal are at this point is a bit of Eddie's legacy, in which, short of it, when Eddie walked in to where we are now, I've not been convinced with everything, but we are in better health. Where we go on this journey now, whether we stagnate is another thing, really, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, it's a bit annoying. And the club, we keep hearing it's a collaborative thing. The scouts identify players and the coaching staff take responsibility over who to get. Everyone's got to take responsibility for the window. And even when we, big up you, like that was part of my live stream earlier. Well, I say earlier, a few days ago, when we read that Athletic article, it said in the last few months and years and whatever, the coaching staff are having more authority over who we're signing. Who's part of the coaching staff? That's Mikel Arteta and all his right-hand men, in which obviously if you're a manager, you want to pick the players, but there has to be balance, man. I do think we're a bit harsh because we do sit here and go, yeah, we want the unknown players, the emerging talents, but if we sign them, a lot of people would say, who the hell are they? What is that? My biggest thing, and we're only fans, but we can't all be wrong, right? How many times, and these guys might not have worked, yeah, but Ivan Toney, Kudus, Paqueta even at a point, Bruno Gomes, Isaac when he was at Sociedad, in which for that one, I have to hold myself. I thought Isaac was a good player. I wasn't screaming, sign Isaac like I am at Newcastle, right, people? But there's been several players that us as fans, we've sat there and said, yo, go out and get them. Bring them in. We haven't done it. They end at bigger clubs. You start seeing the transfer fee. Even Belemba, I can't pronounce his name, of Brighton. On the topic of Brighton, people, join me at 5:20 p.m. UK time. We'll be doing a watch along for Brighton versus City. But we was talking about him at Lyon. You end up at Brighton now. We all know the fees that come with that. We know how, Benjamin White's worked out for us. But how much did we have to pay for Benjamin White off the back of one Premier League season? It was 50 million. So that tells you how Brighton maneuver and how they do things, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, man, it's a bit of a madness. Now, I'm not going to sit and pretend I know about this Tim Steeden, brother. But apparently he's done decent work at Leverkusen. I think he's at West Ham, in which when I just quickly browsed, West Ham chats and websites and tried to gauge the sentiment, it doesn't feel like they're gassed about him, if that makes sense, people. But if the 44-year-old is going to leave West Ham and join Arsenal, apparently he's known as a meticulous and sophisticated operator who embraces a data-led approach. Ooh, now I like that. Data-led, because sometimes the eye can fool you with the data. The eyes can tell you something positive, but the data might tell you there's underlying issues, a bit like where Arsenal find themselves now, and people call me negative, right? But I believe the eye test is always first. I think the two should be married. Now, that is in line with Arsenal, because apparently we do the data-led approach. Apparently his potential arrival feels like a real coup for West Ham. This is obviously a throwback kind of video article, people, and it's spoken about. He was the man that wanted to bring Xabi Alonso. It's fair to say Xabi Alonso worked out for Leverkusen. It said he brought Florian Wirtz to the club. They signed Tapsoba, they signed Palacios, Musa Diaby, who went to Villa and then was sold on. So Jeremy Frimpong, Strick, good players that had either have been sold on or will be sold on. Hincapie's linked with everybody. Hudson Odoi didn't work out over there, but it seems like the remit's quite good. And where you look at, I would say, a Hincapie, a Tapsoba, whether you rate them or not, a Florian Wirtz, Frimpong. Ironically, Serge Gnabry, he kicked off my YouTube career because I think Jack Wilshere went to Bournemouth and Serge Gnabry left his football club, and I went ballistic, and that started the YouTube channel, and we're at where we're at now, people. So he seems quite good. Kevin De Bruyne as well. What a coup, fair enough. If you could go and get them kind of players or that kind of remit, I'm on all of that, people. So it makes sense. Apparently, Arsenal accelerates for successor of Edu. Smash the like button if you haven't, people. Come on, man. We're slowing down towards the end of the year. We was on course to hit 70k. We're gonna miss the target, which is on brand with Arsenal. Apparently, according to our latest information, Arsenal have also launched this recruitment process to find the rare pearl, and two names stand out as we write these lines. Indeed, the Gunners particularly appreciate the profiles of Thomas Rosický and Per Mertesacker, two elders of the house. If the former German defender likes their London leadership, we can also tell you that discussions have already been initiated with the ex-Czech international offensive midfielder. So we'd have to do some research, man. Bro is a friend. He's a friend thing. I'll go on at Arsenal. James, I hear it. Do you know what it is, though? I hear you. And I always say on the footballing front, bro, I'm not here to make friends. We're here to win stuff. But in life, you do kind of work with friends or people that and football's the best. They say it's who you know, it's not what you know. And football is that really. It's who you got in your phone. Like even me as a content creator, and bearing in mind, before I started content, I worked in production, innit? There's a lot of talented people out there that make great content, but they're not necessarily known. So naturally, if I work for Sky Sports, right? I'm a producer, right? I'm going to make an Arsenal. I'm just going to, let's just say Arsenal Spurs. I'm going to have an Arsenal fan. I'm going to have a Spurs fan. Yeah. When you're sitting down doing the briefing, I might know expressions. So I'm going to be like, yo, expressions come true. Troops come true. There might be people that could be have more chemistry than pause than troops and expressions and whatnot, but I might not know them. They might not be known and whatnot. So I do hear the friend thing, but I do think it's a bit too cozy at this football club. And I'm with you as well, man. Get an established DOF that knows the business. I just want, for me, I want someone that's a strong character, but I feel they have to be given the keys to puff out their chest, because honestly, I do think you need balance. For me, and I'm not working at London Coley and whatnot, as I said, I think Mikel Arteta has to face a lot of pressure, especially if we don't win a major honour. He's got a lot of faults, but I think he's got a lot of good things. In short, I think the man's a good tactician, a good manager. All the coaching thing, rightly or wrongly, he can do that. But I just feel there's too much of a burden, especially in the modern day, really, where, yes, managers are going to be, doing that. But it's not the Sir Alex Ferguson's, it's not the Wenger's, it's head coaches, essentially, in which Arteta was that. And I feel he's deserved a lot of the responsibility he's got, but I don't think people can really question him. And that's not a real way to run things, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. Pure vibes, big up yourself. Is this actually true? No way, bro. This is embarrassing. DG, do you remember the Stat DNA days that made us buy Lucas Perez? And you see what I'm talking about. The eyes have to be utilized, man. DG, please be honest with yourself here. Would you say Arteta has too much power in the club from what you see and hearing out the club? I think the Kroenkes trust him with too much power. 100%. 100%. I think it's not even too much power. I just feel where you look at the Kroenkes, rightly or wrongly, they've shown us, not just at Arsenal, but in all the other kind of sporting things they do, they're going to get, the right people in place, a coach, technical director, all them stuff, get them in place, kind of leave you to it. Like, yeah, fair enough. The last few years, mainly coinciding with Arteta, Josh is probably on the ground a bit more. They're going to kind of leave you to your own devices, in which I don't necessarily think that's a bad way of going about things, because you do see some owners that, I'm sure there's some owners at clubs where their technical directors or their managers, they don't feel comfortable because they're always kind of watching them kind of things. So I do think so. I do think it goes unchecked. Like, not every signing is going to work out. But again, the last 2 years, I'll, kind of disregard the first title challenge, because that was, all right, we didn't expect that to happen, really. But last season and this season, it's been about fine margins. It's been about getting over the line. And I don't know if the recruitment staff have failed to identify players that improve us, which evidently is incompetence, and fair play to the coaching staff and Mikel Arteta. That's an issue. Simultaneously, I don't know if Edu and his staff said, Arteta, we're not going to sign Havertz, we're not going to do this. We've got this player for you, we've got that. And he said no. He's gone to Daddy Kroenkes. They've said Arteta gets his way. To a degree, the technical staff, your hands are kind of tied, man. Rosický or Mertesacker as sporting directors, that's job for the boys FC. I mean, if it came down to it, on paper, and I hold my hands up, I would rather Thomas Rosický if it became them two, because Thomas Rosicky's been in that role. You whether it's worked or not, you forget what you are to Arsenal as a footballer. You've been in that role. You are significant experience. Mertesacker have to learn on the job. I'm sure being an ex-player, all these things, Mertesacker has some sort of transferable experience, but it's another guy kind of winging it, essentially, really. So, yeah, man, I'd rather us go for someone established than Mertesacker or Rosický. That's no disrespect to them. We need to be serious for once. Big up yourself, JA. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, hey, the ginger bearded one, you're part of the furniture here. Lucas Perez to Arsenal, you could tell. And that's what I don't want us to go with, yeah, because I don't know, yeah, because I can't speak to Wenger. But you can tell when Wenger, you could always tell when Wenger didn't rate. So he didn't rate Lucas Perez. That was one where you probably just had to sign someone for the sake of it, if I'm honest. What's good, my boy? Hope you're doing well and safe. You said it before, all about who you know. And again, that is life. Like, that's human nature. It's all about who you know. When you watch TV, right, especially when it comes to presenters or this YouTube kind of content presenters, you see the same people everywhere. You see the same people on, the radio, on the TV and whatever. That's because they're in the club. Like, that's who they're going to go for, really. Humans are creatures of habits. You're going to bring someone that you know, essentially, in which I want someone that, and again, we still need to collaborate. Nobody's voice is bigger than the others. We need to win through harmony and all that jazz. But now it's about getting over the line. We need strong characters and people that are on making tough decisions. I can't sit here and say Edu and Mikel Arteta didn't or haven't made tough decisions. But if I'm honest with you, Edu and Mikel Arteta, whatever you have to say about the Kroenkes, the last 3 years, or in fact the last two, because the first year, fair enough, Zinchenko and Jesus helped us. the fine margins, you lot haven't got over the line. There's this natural sense of complacency. You lot have had the money, you've signed some good players, but you've also messed it up, or you've not signed anyone, and we're kind of self-inflicting ourselves, if that makes sense. Probably not. I'm probably just rambling, people. Apparently, Arsenal believe finding the right sporting director and putting them in the position could realistically take a year. If that person has to serve a notice period in the present role, the club are highly unlikely to consider a former player for the role. So that might rule out Mertesacker and Rosický. Obviously, next summer, you've got Saliba, Big Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka's all contracts running out. So, Edu, while you're serving your gardening leave, let's get those new contracts sorted out. So, what we've read so far is very conflating kind of info. Allegedly, Mikel Arteta said on Odegaard potentially starting against Chelsea, who I don't think Odegaard saves all our creative issues, but he certainly helps us. Everybody that's in the squad is going to be fit and available to start the game. So then it will be a decision whether it's too early or the right moment for him to make that step again. Is it really too early? Hopefully, if he's past fit, he's had a week to train, you can always take him off. Him or Ethan need to start. He's not going to start Ethan because I think he feels Mikel Arteta is on this defense first thing, focusing on the opposition. Ethan's not going to start. So I think you need to. I really think you need to. I think you got to go with your strongest team. I think this Chelsea game, you lot have to have it like it's a cup final, really. On Declan Rice, who we've heard has got a broken toe, but he's still in the England squad and apparently keen to play through the pain barrier. I have to be very vague on that one because there's no clarity on whether he's going to be fit for the weekend. That's for the doctor if he's broken his toe. What I can say is that he hasn't trained yet, boy. Injury news, people. Mikel Arteta, we've obviously gone over Declan Rice. We've gone over Odegaard. What's he said on Kai Havertz and Mikel Merino? Kai Havertz, who you obviously saw, got that nasty gash. We'll have to wait until tomorrow to see how they react. Kai had quite a nasty cut and he could not continue. With Mikel, to be fair, the day before he wasn't feeling great and we decided to sub him at half-time. Now, that might be right. I just think Mikel Merino, you reckon he had a stinker or you wanted to make a tactical change, so you subbed him off. He's been getting a lot of heat from fans. That comment there is probably just, if you as a manager, you just say he had a little injury, had a little niggle, save your player a tiny bit, if that makes sense, people. Arteta feels hunger and belief will yield results. I don't doubt that we've got hunger. It's just a tactics thing, bro. I hear that on the buzzwords, but it's the tactics, bro. It's the tactics and the players probably getting a bit complacent. It's not a hunger and belief thing. I don't doubt the players want to win stuff, but nonetheless, the gaffer has said, today I had a meeting with them and sensed it straight away. What I sensed as well is a big belief about how good we are as a team. I mean, to be fair, I'm not criticizing this, but you're hardly going to come out, if that was the opposite, you're hardly going to come out and say different, are you? But you need to take that into winning a football match because in the end, that's the only thing that anybody's going to judge. Not how superior you were to the opponent, that you can outrun the opponent, you outperform the opponent in every way. It's not about how they scored a goal and you didn't. We have a problem, and that problem has to be resolved by scoring more goals than the opponent. And again, the players obviously have to take responsibility on that. But Mikel Arteta, I genuinely feel our lack of creativity, because this was here last year. Fair enough, it didn't feel this extreme, but our issue in front of goal indirectly it's because of you, really. You go back to 2020, you spoke on if we cross the ball, we'll score a lot more goals, which we have, and that probably in hindsight was a bit of an insight into how you wanted to go. I like the fact that we're defend first, we're on defending, we can set pieces and crosses. I'm on that, but that needs to be parked off and applied balance. The other half of it is kind of playing, I know you can't, but Wenger ball and whatnot, keeping the ball at the floor. We've gone a bit too extreme, and when you look at it, Kai Havertz, you might not rate him, but he got double figures last season. Trossard got double figures last season. Bukayo Saka is Bukayo Saka. You've got good players there. Martinelli's a bit volatile, but he's not a bad player. Why are we struggling? Why is it only a couple minimal chances? You've got your striker pulling out to the right, which I'm not against. Strikers have to be involved in all facets of play. You got your striker pulling out to the right or crossing off the left against Inter Milan. You've got Saliba putting in crosses. We're putting in crosses against fellow 6'4" people, 6' people. And to make it worse, Inter Milan have about 70 shirts in their box. We've got 2. Does the numbers make sense? I think you need to go back to the drawing board. Yes, playing Ethan or putting Odegaard back in, it would help us a lot. But it would be naive if you think they're back in, we're attacking. Even if we go and blitz Chelsea, which I hope happens, we score 3-4 goals. I still think there's an issue. And this is why I tried to tell fans when they're sitting there and saying, oh, 1 year we got 80 plus goals, then we got 90, which is true. It shows that we're evolving, But then I said, I'm not criticizing it. How many came via set pieces? Naturally, the first year we were scoring set pieces all the time, and we've still done it this season, to be fair. You know Arsenal are good at set pieces, so you're going to be a bit switched on even more. And when you break it down further, who got the goals? Not to take anything from Trossard, but he was a bit part player and he got them goals. Is there any guarantee he was going to do it this year? Kai Havertz did it in the second half of the season. Still think he'll get double figures. Saka is the only one you're like, whoa, you're going to do it. Of course, you're going to see Declan Rice pop up with a few and get an assist. You're going to see Gabriel and Saliba probably score headers and a couple of other unlikely goal scorers pop up, like we saw with Partey against Villa. But I think you've directly issued. Arteta, I like the fact that you think about the opponent like more than our team to a slight degree. I like the defensive first approach. I kind of like what you're doing in midfield. But at the end of the day, as much as we're doing all of that, it's about balance. We need to have our own DNA and show what we're about, because that Inter game, I got a lot of heat for saying this. I think the performance was a reaction against Newcastle. When you cut the crap, stop looking at emotion and all that jazz, which is hard for me to do as a fan, there was a reaction. On paper, we dominated. We were the better team. But as we know as Arsenal fans, going back to the Wenger days, you can have more possession. You can have more shots. You can have all them. The only thing that matters is putting the ball in the back of the net. And we never looked like a team that was going to do that. And for me, listen, as much as I can praise Inter Milan, they rested 1-2 players. They got the job fair enough. The penalty's not on them. The ref was an idiot, but we still didn't breach their rules. What Inter Milan did to us in that game is what we did a number of times last season. They got the goal. How many times did we get the goal? Say, you know, we're a good defensive side. We're just going to manage this. Break us down. You can't break us down. We can't do that right now because I don't know what's going on, but we've regressed defensively. We look out of sorts in midfield. And the final third, the less said on that, the better, innit? Goals win games. Defense wins titles, which we did have on paper, a title, a defensive outlook as a team capable of challenging. Goals win games. It's the hardest thing to do in football. And where you look at Mikel Arteta, I don't know where you look at Arteta with attacking players. Fair enough. You brought in Odegaard. Jesus worked for a point. Obviously got injured. Trossard was all right, but you tried to get Mudryk. Didn't get Sesko. Let's be honest, Kai Havertz is playing up front and we know he's versatile, but the plan was to rock him in midfield. So I'm looking at, you know, you brought Sterling in on loan, stopgap. So I'm looking at Arteta and thinking, yo, like, why are you really on signing attackers, if that makes sense, people? He then said, that's the joy of this team. You go in there this morning thinking, how are they going to feel after that? What will we talk about? And they are paying attention. They are hungry. They want to do more, whatever we can do. And it's unbelievable. The desire we have, the togetherness, is just a joy to work with them. He then went on to say the results probably were very similar, but the context is very different because you tend to forget why you lost a full game against Bournemouth. I hear you, and the red card made a difference, but we did have a couple of minuscule chances against Bournemouth, and we look crap even with 11 men. Fair enough, you know, Liverpool, you said it, we lack courage. Going into it, I would have taken a point. You do wonder, even though City was down to 10 men, what would have happened if we saw that through to the end? Ironically, the one time we gambled in that Liverpool game, they got the equalizer. So naturally, Arteta, I could even say our team looked like across 90 minutes. We don't know when to gamble. We don't know whether to stick or twist because there's some periods in games where we actually look half decent. Others we look shook. Most of it we're looking indifference. We're not really having that higher level performance across the majority of a 90-minute game. In the Champions League, is summed up by moments. Inter had a moment, they took it. Does not matter. We done that. And as I said before, very different contexts. But you look at the Leicesters, you look at the Southamptons, you look at Aston Villa away earlier this season. Some of what we're complaining about now was there. The only difference is we won the games. Fair play anyways. So yeah, we can hear that. Yeah, the contexts were different. We went down to 10 men. A lot of that is factored, but isolated away from that, I'm not really onto the club about PSG, but you could say we probably sat back in the second half against PSG a bit too much. The same said against Shakhtar. Liverpool, I do think fans are doing too much, but you could extend that. And I've just said plenty of examples, and we all saw Bournemouth, we all saw Newcastle. Obviously, you know, when you've already losing, there's a risk of a snowball effect. Smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't. With the Inter result, people, the team is doing 10 times more better things than we used to do at that period. That's the most positive thing. But for all this to be clear and relevant, you have to win, especially to answer certain questions, which is what it comes down to. There are other things, the level of opposition that we have played, because nobody has played the away games that we've played this season. Fair enough, we have had a difficult run, but Gaffer, everybody's got to play everybody twice, home and away. So how far does that go? And certainly not in the condition of playing half of those games with 10 men, which is right. And there is a wider discussion. But again, isolated to the variables we can control. We haven't done that. All right, fair. City, we got ourselves, the first goal we conceded could have done better. We got ourselves in a good period. Maybe Trossard could have been smarter. Maybe he's been hard done by. Fair enough. The Brighton game being there, I think we should have killed that. Anyways, we could have killed that. We should have killed that before it even got to the Declan Rice incident. And yes, in the premise, very difficult to defend with 10 men, even 11. But We looked shook in that game. That game, for me, looking back in hindsight, being at the Emirates, obviously I couldn't see where we are now, but I did think now this is where the defensive issues are kind of coming from. So there is relevance to it, but then you could caveat that and say maybe not all of the games and all the circumstances. The true mark of champions is how you grind out results when you're faced with adversity in these moments, people. But he is right. The margins are becoming smaller and smaller, but that doesn't mean the margin doesn't exist anymore. But more perfection is going to be demanded in the future. We want to win. We have to prepare, and we have to prepare to win it. That's the only thing that's in our heads. Fair play, Gaff. Pardon me. Arsenal do not need a reset, says Mikel Arteta. I don't think about needing a reset. Nobody works harder than me. I guarantee you that. You're the gaffer. You have to work the hardest. We don't need a reset in one particular aspect. We need to go from 95 effort to 100%. I will not tell you where it is. Scoring goals, and for you, putting your players in positions, because as much as I again, there has to be balance. I don't like forcing the issue. You need to knock it side to side. You can't go down the left, go down the right. Don't force it. But it feels like we jab a lot in the final third. It's not like we're trying to find that knockout blow. And as much as I might have to criticize the players, when I see some of the positions the players are taking up, the way they're playing, the fact that they're crossing it all the time, this is a result of training and what you're telling them to do. So this is, defensively, we need to go up 20 million gears. But if we could have scored some goals, there would still be these issues, but there might be different results on paper, which indirectly is more points. We've gone over the Odegaard stuff, so I won't bore you with that. Is there anything else we've missed out from what Arteta said in his press conference? We've gone over that. Actually. On if it's a must win, especially because we have missed certain points in the last weeks. The margins are becoming smaller. Oh, sorry, we have gone through that. Big up Chelsea in their progress under Mertesacker, the midfield battle, man. This is why I need to have Declan Rice, because I hope they do, but you're going to have Cole Palmer, regardless of the injury issues, in the little pockets. You've got inverted fullbacks now. They play a high line. Caicedo's in a sweet bit of form. Caicedo and Lavio's partnership is great. And I don't know how or when or if Enzo Fernandez gets in. And what I will say in relation to that Chelsea game as well, just for me, people, Chelsea away was one of the poorest performances, I think, last season as well. Yeah, Trossard, indirectly Saka with the assist for Trossard, Declan Rice with a banger. We got out of there, and Sanchez of Chelsea helped us. But for an hour, we struggled. Let's be honest. Chelsea should have put that game to bed in those first 45 minutes. You had the mad goal from David Raya and Mudryk score. Jorginho and Zinchenko really struggled in that game as well. If we lose, we could potentially be behind Spurs as well, depending on what's going on with the results. So, yeah, he knows what he needs to do, people. On if Odegaard can fix our attack, we are demanding that, but it's not very realistic. It's about the collective. Hey, when I say it, they call me a madman. Every player taking ownership with what we have to do in attack and doing better and more consistently. But certainly having a player like Martin helps, because he's shown how important he's been for us in the last 3 or 4 years. On how many squad members he'd like to have. It's not about the number, the quality of the squad. That's going to be key. It's not just about the number. You can have numbers from all kinds of players, but it's about the quality of the squad. Did we do as good as we can in the market to be able to say we've got that quality? I don't know. You lot tell me. I don't know, people. On if it's too simplistic for the team to click with him back. He's basically played that down. On if anyone can reach 100 points. I don't think 100 points is going to be required to win the league, but Liverpool are flying and no one can stop them. You hope Villa can do something today. Everybody, regardless of the challenges Manchester City are facing owing to their own results, everybody still probably has them slightly as favourites and expects them to go on a madness at some point. That just leaves us. Do we want to be first, second, or third? I don't know, people. But yeah, man, it is what it is in that regards. Big up Saka. He's got Arsenal's Men Player of the Month for October. Moving away from that, apparently Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester United are all interested in Jonathan David, according to a report. Apparently the 24-year-old Canadian's contract expires next year. I mean, unless he's going to replace Gabriel Jesus and you're going to find another striker, in which I think if we sign a striker, you're going to see Havertz have to play midfield a lot more. I don't see it. Now, what do I know? Strikers peak late. I do think Jonathan David is a good player. I don't think he's a curtain raiser, but then I'm not saying it's this, but you could argue when Liverpool signed Robertson, when they promoted Trent, when they brought in Wijnaldum, when they bought Sadio Mane from Southampton, or Mohamed Salah off the back of him being a Chelsea flop, or Firmino from Hoffenheim. I don't know if Liverpool fans thought they would be curtain raisers. In hindsight, they worked out. So you never know. You buy correctly, you make some smart buys, and all of a sudden it's lit, really. So I'm not sure, but we've been linked with Jonathan David. We've also been linked with Kolo Mane as well. Apparently, Arsenal are looking to sign him on loan in January. the 25-year-old. I mean, he's not a bad player. I mean, on loan wouldn't be the worst thing, but you can't even buy games at PSG right now. I'm not really keen on you. Apparently, Arsenal defender Jakub Kiwior has reportedly emerged as a target for Sevilla. You know, when he's not been linked with all them Italian clubs, he's been linked with Sevilla. He's, you know, in the last few days, there's been some aggressive rumors that Kiwior could leave in January. I don't know if the club will sanction that. I don't know if Kiwior wants to leave. I don't know if that would be the right option, because I think we need to hold on to a number of these players at least to the end of the season. But this article says that La Liga club feel Arsenal will be open to letting Kiwior leave. Even that, regardless of Calafiori. If everybody's fit, you're not going to see Kiwior. But it's touch and go all the time now with Timber. Calafiori picks up knocks. Zinni's been picking up knocks. The less said about Tomiyasu and injuries, the better. Benjamin White is as tough with his old boots, but he's had to even struggle with injuries. Kiwior, someone that could be utilized. It all depends on the fees, people. I guess we've got decent relationships with Sevilla owing to, you know, them dealing with us to get Lokonga. So we'll have to see. Apparently, we've been linked with Gutierrez of Girona as well. Apparently, Miguel Gutierrez, Mosquera of Valencia, Nathan Zeze, the 19-year-old defender over there in France, and Victor Roos have all been linked with us. Some are fullback, some are centre half. So I don't know what to read into that. Josh Kroenke set for surprise new Arsenal role. What does that mean? What's that? I think this will be a decision made by the Kroenkes, in particular son Josh, who is very much involved now. He'll listen to a lot of people, but they will ultimately make that decision. They'll take into account what Arteta thinks, but he'll only have an opinion in what is a very firm club decision. It's a small board now at Arsenal. They've made some very poor decisions on that side. They're going to have to make a crucial decision. There are a lot of personalities. Edu managed it well, so whoever comes in will have a burning pot of ambition to deal with. It will have to be someone very experienced and someone who can be more like a politician at the club. I can't lie, man. I should have a lot more subscribers, a lot more followers. I should be working in the professional game. I hate being I told you so, but literally, what did I say? The ball knowledge is crazy. Pause. I would love Mohamed Kudus. Apparently, according to sources of Football Insider, Arsenal are continuing to monitor the West Ham winger. Mohamed Kudus should have signed you when you was at Ajax, essentially. He'd be lovely. Versatile, Premier League proven, good dribbler, got a lot of swag, got a lot of personality, be lit. You would have seen a few days ago, Benjamin Sesko had second thoughts about joining Arsenal last summer because of concerns he would be a backup to Kai Havertz. His release clause is 55 million and the Gunners are still monitoring him ahead of a potential move. Now, if I look at it from a footballing point of view, fair enough if you said, well, Kai Havertz has exceeded expectations. He's found himself scoring. You know, end of the day, from a political point of view, you spent 65 million on him. He's on like 200 grand a week. You can't really, it's not that you can't bench him, but you can't really bench him. I want to play games. I've been developing. I know I'll get that move to Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, whatever top club has you, eventually smash the like button. Let me stay at Leipzig, sign a new deal, get some more money and do my thing. 55 million release clause though, because he is the only one on paper that we know we bidded for in the summer. Do we go back for that? And if I look at it cynically, I'm not going to lie, Sesko, I've been singing your praises and championing you, but you see, if you're scared of Kai Havertz up front, with the greatest of respect to Kai, I don't know if you're the right man. You should be believing, yo, I can peck his spot like that before I've even kicked the ball for Arsenal. Again, if this would refresh. Apparently, Barcelona do not want to sell Marc Casado despite interest from Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Liverpool, PSG, and Arsenal. I mean, I don't know how credible it is, but he's quite a tough tackler, and there's very much La Masia aspects in how this man plays. I think he's 21, but he's almost a bit more tigerish than you would expect of a La Masia Barcelona graduate. I'm having him, but I just think this is worse, especially with the way he's moving under Hansi Flick. They're not going to get rid of him anytime soon. Let's close some tabs as well, people. We've been maneuvering through, people. Big up you lot. Apparently, United could be set to make a move for Gyökeres to try and reignite the striker with Ruben Amorim in the summer. Arsenal and Chelsea also interested. I think Man United needed an experienced striker this summer. I genuinely thought they'd go for Tony. Gyökeres, obviously, doing the business on the footballing front, knows the manager as well, went there, as his agent said, because of Amorim. It makes sense. Arsenal, there is a project we could sell to him. Chelsea need a forward as well. At 1 minute, you can only buy him if you activate his release clause of 100 million, which equates to about 85 million quid. Now, you've heard rumours this week that it's dropping to 60. I'm not saying they wouldn't. Maybe Gyökeres had an agreement last summer that, yo, I'll stay now, but I want to cut. Maybe he's made it clear that, listen, this season, I'm leaving in May. I mean, in May, in the summer. I'm not sure. And looking at it cynically, if you've got someone, I assume Gyökeres is under contract for a good few years, right? He's got a release clause. We all know the striker market. It's a bit weird because half of these guys we waffle about had to start somewhere. Is that not everyone was convinced He's doing his thing at Newcastle. Sesko had to be bought somewhere, and Leipzig are quite smart in that regard. Gyökeres was at Brighton, then he went Coventry and all these things. They've got to start somewhere. But you look in the striker market, you can't really name 10 bad boy forwards, and maybe it's because of how the game's gone. But if you know you've got a good striker on paper in this day and age where the market's dead, then naturally that asset means more. So why would you drop the price on him? I don't know, people. Or maybe clubs are not on that. Arsenal and Chelsea are joining Man United in the pursuit of Gyökeres. I mean, I told you a lot about Giovanni Quainda, people. Apparently, Arsenal have held talks with his agent, with the 17-year-old winger, also a target for United, City, and Liverpool. Love him. You would have seen him against City. Obviously, I always think Man United, I don't know why, but I always think they've got the upper hand where it comes to Portuguese players or individuals. And also with Sporting, you look at Ronaldo, Nani, obviously Amarin's going over there. I think the one they need to buy, if they're going to buy anyone, has to be Diamande. If I'm United, Diamande and Gyökeres, he'd be lit as well. Very talented young player, but I'd love him at Arsenal. Barcelona are looking to beat Liverpool to sign Karim Adeyemi, people who, you know what, between you and Martinelli, you'd make me pull my hair out, but I'm still a big fan of yours, man. I still think there's talent there. Arda Güler doesn't understand the lack of confidence from Carlo Ancelotti in him. Could it be Mesut Ozil, Martin Odegaard, V2? Yes, a man can dream, people. Coot Miners, who I wanted in the summer, said there were English clubs that were interested in me, but as soon as I heard about Juventus, I didn't even have doubt. What Deluded told me about Juventus was true. This club is like a dream. Fair enough. I wanted Coot Miners, man. He would have been lit for us, but another one bites the dust in that regards. Apparently, Colombian radio station Antenna 2 claim Arsenal submitted an offer worth 45.2 million in brackets 55 million euros to their Premier League counterparts, but that appears to have been swiftly rebuffed, by the Midlands club, with the North London outfit apparently told to increase their offer. Another one, they bought my man from MLS. And to go back to Man United scouts haven't been listened to, because if you go back, Man United scouts, they wanted this done at their club, which fortunately it didn't work. Duran would be good, but yeah, it is what it is. Again, Man United priority in danger as Arsenal scout 67 million Sporting star Amarin has asked for. So yeah, we're still linked with Diamande, going back probably to his days in Denmark. Chelsea apparently have also monitored him, as well as Liverpool and Newcastle. Now, when everyone's fit, if everyone's fit, we got strong defensive depth. But as you start playing throughout the season, you can see the issues. Quality centre half, which you've seen Saliba suspended, Gabriel have some issues. Can also play fullback as well. So for me, I'd get that done, but it's not up to me, people. Declan Rice and Lomberg apparently have had a chat on Arsenal.com. Should we see if there's anything of credibility? Yes, we know football makes you happy. Arsenal's a wonderful club to play for. We know the red cards have been tough as well. We suffocate teams with our press, and there's a time and a place to do it. It's recognizing when we can sit and be strong. We're comfortable in that block, or we'll go all out and attack teams. The last few games or this season, can we say that that's been the case? Fair enough, man. Chelsea feels like a must win. Declan Rice has said it's a London derby and it's a massive game. Hopefully you're fit to play, my friend. How important is it to win a trophy this season? So important. I say that strongly. This team has been close in the Premier League for the last 2 years. Last year was the first year back in the Champions League, and we got to the quarterfinals, but went out of the cups early. Now we're into the quarterfinals of the Cat Yaraba already. So this team and squad of players we have, if you look at the teams like City and Liverpool, have been competing for trophies for the last few years because their players are consistently playing in these games and not moaning about it, just getting on with it and having that mentality to win. So when us as fans, sorry for hitting the mic there, waffle about people needing rest, how far does that go? I'm not too sure. I think we need a trophy. Don't forget, people, you lot are leaving me hanging. I'm the only one that's hit the like button on my watch along, man. Like, is this YouTube thing really worth it? But yeah, we're watching Chelsea versus Arsenal later. Tomorrow, and obviously we're going to be watching Brighton against City later today. I'm live from 5:20 in that regards. But yeah, I got through all of that. What are you lot saying in the chat? Let me go back and see. Hit the like button if you haven't. I only want Glock 14, to be honest. From what I've seen with Gyökeres, I'm having him. I'm having Sesko. I'm having Isaac. Jonathan David isn't good. I hear it. If Mertesacker gets the job, boy, waffle settings from Arteta. Big up DG, though. I hear it, man. If we lose on Sunday, what's your stance? My stance on what? I think the Premier League's gone. I think the Premier League's gone already. Like I said it in the summer, like, it's not that I don't like what the club's doing. I always say, and I always feel, yeah, people hear what they want to hear. I think there's many things to be positive about this football club. But I also feel that we haven't got enough for me to sit here on YouTube and speak with chess. I've seen Premier League teams win. I know what it takes to win. I know what it takes to win in this regard. And I feel like we shoot ourselves on and off the field in our pursuit of stuff. Mathematically, you can still fight for things. I think the Premier is in. I got killed for, some of you killed me for saying on Talksport. I think the Premier League is improbable, and I think the Champions League is impossible. But regardless, go out and do things. My stance is that the league's gone. Like, the league's gone. You've got too much ground to catch. Yes, there's a reality. Other teams can drop bare points, but you're now playing a bit too much of a catch up, and that's assuming we don't drop any more points if we were to lose to Chelsea from now until May. Boy, I mean, Mikel Arteta is not going to get sacked, is he? Because he signed a new deal. I don't think they're going to sack him after, uncertainty around now the sporting director role. But in the summer, there has to be uncomfortable conversations. As I said, Arteta, coaching, all that stuff. I think you're a good coach. I think you're very innovative. I think you've been very brave. I think you showed big bollocks to take this role. And I think, you've taken this club from some dark times to a good point. But is it a Xavi thing like at Barcelona, where Xavi did a lot, Hansi Flick's come in, now they're enjoying the fruits of what Hansi Flick's doing, and also Xavi's, it's now about getting over the line. And I do feel there's too much of a cult. Like, for me, support doesn't mean just backing anything Mikel Arteta does. Some of it works, some of it don't. Some of it you're not sure about, it works. Some of it you're bang on the money. I don't believe in that sort of stuff. So I think there needs to be conversations. Yes, I do believe Arteta will go somewhere and win something one day and have a great career, but I only truly, really care about what's going on at Arsenal. Who the next manager would be, I don't know. But you can't say keep someone just because you're afraid of the new manager. You could say you could keep faith in Arteta and we go on off and win the next 3-4 years in the Premier League. You could keep him and we get worse. You could get a new manager and it goes even worse. But you have to try something. And if that don't work, try again. Every time Arsenal in a rut, Arteta comes out with this lovey-dovey stuff, talking about love players and love working with them. Do your blood work simple? I hear it, man. Arteta is taking this too far. 6-foot sporting director, Mertesacker. Arteta is baffling. We played great football in 22-23, and now it's pragmatism. You can adopt and still keep your principles. There you have it, ID, one love. Arteta talks that much ish that if he told me it was raining, I'd have to look out the window and check. I allow him, man. Allow him. It's a madness. Bro, love the content as always, but Premier's not gone. This season will be a funny old one. Extended European comps will take toll on the teams. Oh, that's what I said. Mathematically, I don't think it's gone. But you've got too much to do anyways. You're fighting a big bad City team anyways. We're going to shoot ourselves in the foot once again anyways. So it's a big task. Again, we've got 20 at this moment in time. What we played 10 games. Forgive me if I'm wrong. There's 28 games. So I wouldn't say it's all gone, but it doesn't fill you with optimism. I think Arsenal fans know there is going to be some point this season we go on a run. I hope it's now. All I'm saying is it's got to the point now. Mikel Arteta, the players, I don't doubt your integrity, but if you've got any, forget the fans. As much as you can say that, forget the fans, forget the club, forget the season ticket holders, forget all the fans all over the world that watch Arsenal. Do it for yourselves now, because you lot, it's got, not that you pay attention to outside noise, but it's got to hurt when they say you don't care and whatnot. And you lot are training. It's a brotherhood thing. You lot are training and working. And ironically, you're spending more time with yourselves, with each other than some of you with your little kids and whatnot. Do it for yourselves now. Salvage it for yourselves. I think the Inter performance was better than that at Newcastle. It was on the floor. Keep going. Just say Arteta out. There'll be a time for me to say Arteta out. I'm not quite there at this moment. I'm very much like, yo, what's going on, Arteta? Like, as I said, for me, it's about getting over the line. You need to get over the line. You don't get over the line, conversations need to be had in May. Simple as that. Like, I'm not quite at the Arteta out. Everyone knows on my YouTube, like, you could go back. I gave up on Wenger at the end. I didn't want to give up on Wenger. Wenger was a manager I'll back blindlessly. Because, like, in the same way, maybe to a degree, City fans would do it with Pep, and obviously Liverpool with Klopp, regardless of their mistakes. Arteta ain't done what Wenger's done in the game, but I gave up on him at the end. The same with Emery. I gave up at the end. Ironically, the week he got sacked, essentially, is when I gave up on him. I'm not quite there yet. The minute I see these players down tools is when I'm like, all right, cool. Because that's what I saw with Wenger. That's what I saw with Emery. I can have my frustrations. I very much am doubting at this moment in time, Arteta, are you the guy to get the Prems? Because as I said, and so no one can misquote me, Arteta, the manager, what I think you've done, where I think you can go, tactics, coaching, brave decisions, madman stuff you do, a lot of stuff you got mocked at, making a dog called win, which, can we just win some trophies? The light bulbs, all these things. I think you're very much a man of conviction. I rate all of that. Part that off for a sec. Can you get me the Prem? Forget the champs. Can you get over the line the Prem? It's not looking like you can. And again, everybody can see how difficult it is to play against City and whatnot. But we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And now how far does that go now? Because I know Liverpool that they've got a good bunch of players and significantly more experience. But now Arne Slot has come and maybe made a lot of what is said in that regards redundant, because we don't know what Liverpool are going to have their own drop-offs and stuff, but Liverpool are flying. So how do you look at, if Liverpool go and win this Prem, Arteta, boy, the writing's on the wall, bro. And the next manager might come in and might not do that. And we have the same conversations again. Smith Rowe just scored. My FPL, mate. My son, Emil Smith Rowe, shouldn't have left. Thoughts on the Garnacho situation with Faz? Does Garnacho get too much hate? I think it's sneaky, really. But I don't. You don't want. I just think it's sneaky to do that to players. But I can't understand that it's gone so far, because at the same time, he just said you need to improve this, improve that. I think Garnacho was quite cheeky, and I think it was a class comment. Something I would have said is like, "Why aren't you playing, mate?" But yeah, Arsenal need to get Gyökeres in Jan, bro. We're not getting him in Jan, man. You're going to have to pay something stupid. Big up DG. The only thing that can make the season interesting is if Liverpool also get injuries. Boy, not in our hands anymore. Boy, it's not in our hands. All you can do is win games. That's all we can do at this moment. Get back on the horse, start winning games, and then talk about anything. The byproduct as to whether Arsenal will be in or out of a title race is by simply put winning games. And that seems to be the hardest thing for us to do right now. Win games. As much as it's about Arteta, the players, you've got to get back. You've got to get back on that horse as well. But I think a lot of the issues we're facing, whether it's the knock-on effect of injuries, not having like-for-like replacements, not having real difference makers, like we've spent a lot of money. The guy's been here for a minute now. In terms of a rebuild, if we just wanted to continuously be a top 4 team, I think we've got that. But we don't want that. We're going to get over the line. So, and Arteta himself, the players themselves, you go back to the last game of the season after the Everton game. What did they say? What did we just see with Declan Rice? What have we seen Odegaard say? Them man come out and say, we want to win the Premier, we want to do this, we want to do that. Context is also important in relation to this sacking Arteta thing. But if you finish third, it's not that it's the end of the world and win a cup. I think you'll keep your job. But, other clubs might say, you know what, big you up. Still, though, the remit was a Prem. You might have to leave. We're not a club that's going to do that. We probably lack stability to the point where it trickles through into complacency. I genuinely believe, and this is just my opinion, I think the last 2 years, excluding this year, pardon me, so last season and the season before, I don't think the club expected that. I personally think that somehow, some way, we've accelerated ourselves and we find ourselves in conversations that internally at the club, I don't think they thought that we'd be in, and I don't think they know how to act. I think as long as you get top 4, maybe a trophy, they'll leverage the whole context thing and all of that. I don't think man will lose the job. Yeah. First time I want the international break to come ASAP. Oh, it's a dark, as we know as Arsenal fans, it's a dark place where you go and lose a game, man. Going into the international break, which again would be a further kick in the teeth. Fair enough, it's only a week. And then we've got Nottingham Forest at home, in which on paper we should be wiping the floor with them. But is that really true? Because who's in better form right now? And also on that, it's obviously Liverpool, Manchester City, Spurs. There are some talking points in these games. But it's been the games on paper still this season. The games on paper that should be a walk in the park, and football's a funny old game. To a degree, it's been them games, with the exception of Newcastle. It's been them games we've had our biggest issues. Southampton, Southampton 100%, Leicester 100%. Won't quite extend that to Brighton, but them two 100%. Bournemouth, can't say that with Newcastle, to be fair. Bournemouth 100%, with the greatest of respect to Areola. I told you, look, that's a difficult place to go. Areola's a big, bad manager. You can't go over there with no foolishness. We did. You saw what happened. Yes, there was a red card, but you saw what happened. If we lose tomorrow, it's a dark place at Arsenal. Arteta's lost the plot over the years. Let's keep it 100. He has to fix up or leave like Edu. I think he's lost the plot this season. I'll be real. I think in the last few weeks, Arteta, regardless of the red cards and the injuries, I think you've made things harder than it needs to be. I'll be honest, with the greatest of respect, Mikel Arteta, I think in the last few weeks, you're smoking some serious crack. It's getting Ten Hag-y. And I don't even think he's living off the FA Cup. And there will be some that say, if he wins a trophy, blah, blah, blah. And listen, we all want trophies. It's a nice night out. It's a nice day out, apologies. And yeah, it'd be great to win trophies. But at the same time, if you go and get the league and or the FA Cup, which I hope is everything, and you finish second or third, it's not quite what Wenger was doing, but people would say, well, we did all of that, and it's still kind of the Wenger thing. I still believe we need an 8, and of course a left winger striker and backup for Odegaard after bringing in Moreno for the summer. But this is what I mean. Arteta, I can't really get the players. I can, but these are the tools that you've assigned. Me personally, Kai Havertz, I know people don't like him up front, and of course, I think that could be upgraded upon, even though I think he could be part of the squad. But I look at Kai Havertz now, I think you're giving me all you can. I think you're giving me more than I expect. I think we are pushing you to your limitations. I think you need a striker to upgrade on that. Moreno, I think you're good for the squad, but Mikel Arteta is doing the NBA thing in midfield. Yes, you know, you need the right tools to be able, if you was a tradesman, you need the right tools to be able to do a job. But if you've gone to Halfords and you've spent grands, which obviously if we equate that to what we've done in the transfer market, if you spent whole lump sums of money, you're getting the best tools, you know, automatic drills and all of this. And then if the job was winning a football game, you're not using any of the tools correctly. The only place we look like at this moment for me where we have somewhat of a clue is playing out from the back. And even that, because then you tie into the midfield. But hey, Arsenal's play styles regressed. 2022-23, we were the best in the league. 23-24, it faded for half the season. And now 24-25, we're clueless. I think it's all about balance. It is a trade-off. If you get better defensively, you are going to lose a bit in an attacking sense. But I think we've gone the other way. Like, we're too defensive. And obviously injuries, us probably dropping standards. We're not a great defensive side. We're not good in the final third. We're disillusioned in the middle third. How do you expect to win a game of football? If you can't keep balls at the back of your net and you can't score more goals than your opponent, how do you expect to win a game of football? How do you expect to win trophies? I can't answer this. I'm just an armchair expert, but from what I'm looking with my eyes, you're not smart enough. Poch got second a couple of times. He got slated, so don't like the double standards minus the FA Cup. And this is where, again, I keep saying, I mean, I don't give a flying monkeys about Poch, but you're right. As I said at the start, one love Mikel Arteta for the rebuild. Get over the line now. There are some fans that say, oh, but he took us from here, but they're dead. There was a couple of times Alex Ferguson almost got sacked at Manchester United. Yes, I'm being a bit harsh. I'm being a bit harsh to fans. But look what Wenger did for this club. People still wanted the man out. They were far greater men. And again, this job is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. Managing Arsenal is always going to be a case of, with context or not, you lose 3 games, it is a crisis. As much as I like you, Arteta, I like my football club more. This isn't Arteta FC. You know, the worst thing would be Arteta learns everything he needs to learn, F off, and someone else enjoys the fruits of his labor. You as a novice coach, you've been spoiled with all the money. You've been backed with every decision you wanted, whether it was ripping up contracts or bringing players in. And yeah, you did deserve some of that. You got a new contract before the season even started. Bearing in mind the last 2 years, the conversation was going to be, can you win us a league title? So you've got faith from those above. And I always wonder how much indirect complacency is that? I do think Arteta wants to win. I do think there's a sense of urgency, but how much subconscious complacency is there at a club? Because it doesn't, obviously there's pressure, but it doesn't feel like there's immediate pressure. We're not Real Madrid, but look at Carlo, look what he's done there. Look where the talking points, and again, what they're saying internally at Real Madrid to what the media are 2 different things, but look at what's being reported. All I want Arsenal to do is win. If we can do that with Arteta, great. If we turn our form around and we look back and say, boy, it looked like we was going left, great. But I just care about winning. At this point now, it's just about getting over the line. Yes, there needs to be a style. There needs to be longevity and all that jazz. But it's about winning now. Nobody cares about the last 2 years in a respectful way. Yes, building blocks. 20 years from now, you're not going to tell your kids, oh, we finished second. Great stuff if you are. It's about trophies. And yes, it's a double-edged sword because history will be kind to Eric Ten Hag. He won 2 trophies at Man United. Let's not be dumb. He wasn't the guy for Man United. So it is a conversation where you need to have common sense. Arteta, if I'm honest, you've been allowed to throw the domestic cups as well since you won the FA Cup. The Europa League, you know, we crumble in Europe. I think I can't really forgive you for playing Smith Rowe a few years ago against Villarreal as a false 9, but we all messed up. The Champions League last year, I'm not too mad about. You know, I think we gave a good account of ourselves. I think we could have done things better. Again, the club, you know, what did we hear when we went out the champs? We need to target players with X factor and all this. What attacking? Fair enough, you can have X factor in other positions, but that tells you attackers. What attackers we bring in the summer with X factor? Big up Raheem Sterling, but really? The Raheem Sterling of YouTube a few years ago, yeah. But down to Arteta, the players to get themselves out of this mess. A week's a long time in football. We've had 10 game weeks. Hopefully after 28 game weeks, we're in a better position. But boy, whether this is going to be the stage, I have to say it once again, whether this is going to be the stage that the league was lost or this mounted the craziest of runs or, you know, whatever narrative, is down to these players to paint it and the manager. An article said he didn't want to sign the contract unless they brought in Moreno and Calafiori. What article is that? And boy, again, then if that's true, you're giving man ultimatums and demands and you're getting what you want. The boys we we did during the summer, all right, but there should have been a new attacker. Listen, big up Moreno. I don't think Moreno is being used in the role he should be. Big him up. I know he's catching a lot of heat. Calafiori, I'm with that. And if we never had you, where would we be with all these injury issues? Beyond that, Neto, can't really get at Neto. You're doing the sideman goalie thing. I'm more at the club because you was running around trying to buy goalies. You had to just quickly pivot and maneuver for one. Raheem Sterling, I don't even think you're going to get an opportunity because on one hand, you're not going to get to start games. But let's be honest, Sterling was only brought in because I don't even know if they tried to get Nico Williams, but whatever they tried did not work. So you had Sterling that was alienated by Chelsea, probably on staying in London, and it just made sense. Is that, and even if we bought all of what we wanted to, we still might have been pessimistic, but at least I think most balanced Arsenal fans would sit there and go, you know what? We can see the ambition, we can see the intention. Also, I feel like Arsenal shouldn't sign Sesko anymore. He's not doing that great for that little extra money. I'd rather have Gyökeres or Isaac, or I would love Jonathan David. I'm taking Sesko over Jonathan David every day of the week and then some more. I'm starting to feel like Arsenal FC is becoming an institution built to appease Arteta's ego. I think Arteta struck gold, if I'm honest with you. I think naturally the owners are complacent, and I just think Arteta struck gold in that he's a golden child and he's the only footballing man, and I don't think you're going to get sacked unless you do something mad, really. I know they'll say buzzwords and win through harmony and all of these things, and as I said, I do think there's some things we've done well. I think we'd like to win. I don't think we'd die to win. I don't think anybody... I think Arteta does, and the players, if I'm honest, but I don't think the owners and the decision makers that we don't typically see on a match day, I don't think they're kept up at night if Arsenal don't win a Prem, or the fact that Arsenal haven't won a Champs, or the fact that we haven't amassed more silverware under Mikel Arteta. Because you can't have the rough with the smooth. You can't say he's the second best manager in the Prem. He's innovative. If he was to get sacked, all of these clubs would look at him. He's going to be this, he's going to be that, and not acknowledge that if you rate him that much, he has to be held to those standards with context around certain things. But generally, you have to be held to that standard. He's been allowed to spend money. He's been allowed to get signings wrong and sign other people. And he's also got to survive at certain points that other people wouldn't. Now, fair enough, maybe, probably in hindsight, the back-to-back 8 thing, it was right to keep him because we've got ourselves to this point. Now it's just about, this is where we're at. This is where the Prem is. Can you get us into that rave? If you can't get us into that rave, safe. Can you close that deal? Dodge the bullet with Williams, not going to lie. I don't believe so. I think he would have cooked for us, but I hear that. So it's a thingy one. It's a techie one. I was annoyed that they only looked at Sesko, knew he was staying, then didn't attempt to find a plan B. And on one hand, I like the fact that if you're not going to sign players because you can't get your first choice, fair enough. But to not have that winger, because we should, in my opinion, we should be at least mimicking what when Liverpool were under Klopp, we should at least be mimicking this season what they have. Kai Havertz is not Firmino, but in terms of being a facilitator that can score goals, but is not going to live or die by him, he would have been our Firmino. Saka is our Salah. Martinelli damn well can't be that Mane at this moment in time. You don't know I love him, but bro, you need to be a bench rotationary option until I see anything close to what you did a few seasons ago or some significant progression. We ain't got that apologies, Mane on the left-hand side. In an ideal world, you've got Kai Havertz in great form, probably demoted as the number 2. You probably get rid of Jesus. I know I died a bit as I said that. You've got a big boy striker. You've got Martinelli significantly better. You've got a versatile attacker that can play on the left as well as the right. You've got Saka doing what he's doing. You've got that number 8 that can really thread eye the needle passes. You can still have the Parteys, the Morenos, I'm missing someone else, the Declan Rice, the Fugs in the middle. It just feels like this club gives you a lot to be optimistic about and a lot to be pessimistic about. As I said, it feels like we start here, we go forward 10 steps, then we go back 10 steps. So we're essentially in the same place. And to a degree, there's an element of an illusion of progression. Best owners in the world, he said. Who? I never said we got best owners in the world. Sterling isn't the same player as at City. Never was moved by that one. Stats-wise, Jonathan David is doing a lot better in his league compared to Sesko. But then again, Sesko is in the Bundesliga and Jonathan is in League A. Liverpool got no pressure. Pretty much no surprise if Liverpool finish ahead of Arsenal with the most solid defence, it seems. Of course they got pressure. Pressure on themselves. You think Arsenal don't want to win the league? You think these players, because you look at Van Dijk, Salah, don't know how many years they got in their careers. Trent potentially could leave. They find themselves a bit like Liverpool find themselves in a situation off the back of winning games, how we found ourselves probably in the first year we fought for the title. They're like, oh, boy. Well, to be fair, we don't know. Liverpool could have sat there. Arsenal could have sat there in the summer and said, yo, we can go for the league. Arsenal overrated. City are going to have a wobble. He could have been a genius. But I genuinely think they just focused on winning games, doing things the right way, doing what needs to happen. and naturally they become a talking point. In the same way we've drawn ourselves out, and but you know, it's not even again. There's only 10 games in, but it's not even a guarantee at this moment mathematically that Arsenal are going to be in the top 4. I think we will be in the top 3 positions by God willing is first. Probably not going to be that, but yeah, man, it is where it is in that regards. So yeah, man, I hear that, man. Arteta is showing his inexperience as a manager. This is why I said, for me, big up Dermot, I think he needs that David Dean, someone to save him from the madness. Whether that can be replicated in today's day and age, I don't know. But yeah, man, that's just what I believe, man. But with that being said, people, don't forget 5:20. I'm going to see you lot again for Brighton versus City. We're going to watch the game together. Don't worry. If you got any other Arsenal conversations or talking points, come and join me. Big up you lot on Twitch. And again, tomorrow we'll be doing a watch along for Chelsea versus Arsenal. It's always fantastic sitting here and speaking with you lot. But on that note, I'm going to love and leave you lot. We spoke about X Factor and difference makers.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
Like